Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Will. Hopefully, you're having a great day today. BigBear.ai stock has seen some movement today, and we're going to take a look at it as they have some new acquisitions that are going to majorly impact their business. Now, we were just trading APLD this morning. We sold this morning for a profit right at market open in our daily live trading session. We sold there for a profit around 24.50, and then we ended up rolling it into APLX. So we're now seeing, as APLD is up today about 2.5%, that things are looking green there. To tune on into those daily live trading sessions in StockMate, it's the second link below, and you get a free t-shirt just like the one I'm wearing right here. So let's jump into BigBear.ai. So as you can see, Big Bear is down about 1.5% today. They're down to the $6 support level, bouncing this morning and pushing back up. This is key because over the last month, we've been watching this $5 to $6 level, and we said, can they hold above $6 a share? We have seen them start to recover from $5 back up to about $6.25, and they've been consolidating from left to right, making a 20% gain recently from $5 to $6, and it's holding above that $6 support. The big idea that we've seen with Big Bear recently is that they've actually acquired their way in. There's basically three ways to have your own successful business. You can create your own, you can work your way into, or you can just buy into. And with BigBear.ai, they just purchased a new company. Now we know that they're already working with TSA on certain instances, the Department of Defense. They haven't acquired this, big ticket of the $5.4 billion. But there are some new actions that have been taken regarding this opportunity. And you can see that just recently, the US government has been requiring more screening for biometrics and AI-driven threat detection, doubling down on their technology for the Variscan, which is their facial scanner at Denver International Airport and LAX and many other airports. They've simultaneously been not just building the infrastructure, but they've been actually acquiring, they've been buying their way in. So just recently in their last earnings report, they announced that they purchased another company that already has government contracts. That's right. This company, Ask Sage, is an AI company that's expected to deliver revenues around 25 million in 2025. And the company already has government contracts. So when they beat their earnings, that was one of the conversations. But what a lot of people didn't realize about what Big Bear actually was doing is they came out with this acquisition here of Ask Sage. Now they own this company. Now this company does generative pre-trained transformers. So you got GPTs from Google, from Anthropic, from ChatGPT, and they integrate with databases. So we're talking primary databases, even in the government. Here you can see they got with main, you got SQL Server, AWS, Elastic, all that, but you have their partnerships that they already have with NASA, with the Department of Defense, Defense Health Agency. And so Big Bear said, look, we could go and we could try and build more of our AI into this. But instead, Big Bear said, what if we just acquire the company? We just acquire the company and we get the contracts associated with it. And if you look at where they're working at right now and where the company seems to be focused with their use cases and some of their current contracts, they are working with the U.S. Army. They're working with the U.S. Department of Energy. They're working with FedRAMP along with the Department of Defense. And these are a lot of really high-end contracts. We're talking level 5 here, authorization. And rather than, basically building out more of the partnerships, which they're already going to do at BigBear.ai, BigBear.ai said, let's just acquire this company. And so they purchased the company. Now they're expanding into the AI it was a good time to make the purchase because they actually have been stabilizing. You could see while they're down about 14% the last month, if you go over the last 6 months, they're up 35%. The last year, they're up 186%. But they've also been kind of stabilizing, and it's been a smooth post earnings. After their earnings, they've actually been holding pretty well. They came out with earnings earlier this month, and they're about where they were when they reported. And in that time frame, they not only came in with the positive net income and revenue stayed flat, but they also increased their total assets to 919 million. So you would expect a big drawdown on the total assets, or you would expect something to impact, or maybe they're doing this because they're not making any revenue and they need to fix something. But that wasn't the case. In fact, they still had some revenue. They still increased their balance sheet and also acquired this company. So now that they've acquired the company and we're seeing them start to build out their new phase of their business, the big idea here is that they're buying their way in. And this is a strategy you see oftentimes by very large companies, but they might have found what could have been a good deal. Did they get a good deal on Ask Sage, and are those partnerships going to be sustained? I mean, based on the revenue, they paid about 10x. Okay, so if Ask Sage is already doing about 25 million a year and they pay 250 million a year, they paid 10x. But now that they already had some of their own contracts, and then they bring that into the conversation of doing LLMs for these companies like Department of Defense and Army and all these, that actually puts them into most likely what's going to be an ROI positive. Just 1, 2, maybe 3 contracts like they've already been working in, by having this extra leverage of already working with the government agencies in these capacities, it's most likely going to be ROI positive. So with that, you can see OpenAI is still bearish. OpenAI thinks there's a resistance level over the next month, and seeing them pull below that $6 price point. Even the next 6 months and the next year, you can see OpenAI is bearish. I think that that's a different story. In fact, if we pull in, and I've been really liking Gemini lately. I've been using Gemini, but I've been using Grok as well. We could use Gemini right now. The only AI models that are bearish on Big Bear, I've noticed, have been the ones that aren't as connected direct to some of the data. XAI has been providing really good data for Grok, and through back testing, we've actually found that you could find better returns with companies like Grok and Gemini and Claude than you see with OpenAI. So a lot of people think, ChatGPT is superior. That actually hasn't been the case specifically for financial investing. The analysis, the technical analysis, it's okay. It seems to be good. But what I've been leaning towards here is Gemini. If you want to get first access to this system, go ahead, hit the first link down below. So we actually have an announcement coming super soon on this. So if you want to get, the AI to go through all the charts for you, pull the financials, go through the relative press releases and verifiable sources, there you go. So here's a projection according to Gemini. It's actually anticipating before the end of this year, we're going to see them up 8% to 650. That would be an 8% gain. 6 months, over the next 6 months, Gemini is anticipating this company to get up into 850, a 45% increase from current levels. And then into the next year, a whopping 70% projection from Gemini on this company. So if you look at the current deals they have, and you look at the current investors that they're seeing in Big Bear, according to the institutions, you can actually see there's been more buying, more institutions buying. BlackRock is buying. And then on the insider side, if we could kind of pull up that analysis here, see how it looks. According to Gemini, get an analysis here. It's taken a little bit, but Gemini has been really accurate. But I've never seen over a 70% projection. And Gemini's pretty bullish. But yeah, so insiders you got a few more sells than buys, and you also had a change in ownership or a change in CEOs that it's accounting for over this last year. So maybe that's also part of it. But you see more buys from AE Industrial and some other things. So when we're looking at the chart currently, just really weighing in on the nearest support levels. The nearest support levels I know are right around that 550, but the nearest support is going to be around $6 a share. If we look at the support and resistance, it looks like it's saying, nearest support is at 602 and the peak resistance, price resistance around 635. So currently, maybe a little bit of a correction in the near term according to some of that resistance level. But over the long term, you're looking at very bullish indication for Big Bear. What it's looking at right now and why it's projecting, over the next day or so that we're going to see a pullback is that it's anticipating just what we talked about here, this resistance level at 635, that it might get rejected and sell back down to around 550. See that consolidation from left to right in the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks, really, all of November, consolidation from left to right. Anticipating if they're going to just consolidate more, they're actually going to sell down from this this resistance up around 620 down into this 540 somewhere in here, or 550. But when you're looking at the breakout chart, let's take a look at how the breakout looks. The breakout indicates that if we're going to see a breakout, it is going to be, let's see, the next month around that 650 or 635. So on the other hand, if we see it break up above about 635 currently, then we're looking at a bullish surge up into about 650. So currently, again, they're holding around this resistance of 630. If they break above, then they could potentially validate it as a support. We could see some more bullish momentum here on Big Bear. We'll be watching. If you want to see us trade live and see some of our entries, our exits, and how to invest in AI, quantum, space, and tech stocks, second link below to join StockMeet. Would love to see you there tomorrow at Market Open and send you this free t-shirt that I'm wearing right here. If I earned your thumbs up, hit the like button. As always, do consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.